Alright, Presenter here, back with another Honkai Star Rail guide. And today I'm here with the actual double Calyx Drop guide. As we do see, we're getting a Garden of Plenty on the Asia and EU server. This is already out. And by the time you're watching this, there is another 2 to 3 hours. I actually don't know when I'm uploading this, but within those 2 or 3 hours, it will be out on NA. This is a lot more straightforward guide, but there has actually been a pretty big surge of newer players coming to this channel. So I thought I'd give you some help, mainly tailored towards those newer players. But even if you are more of a longer player, you can use this and get some info on some upcoming stuff to see how you should actually go about farming this. Since, once again, it's a lot more straightforward as opposed to the ornament drops where the best is to get a good value one where 2 of the sets are good. Since this one, you just kind of pick and choose, but I'll be giving you some scenarios and kind of what you want to really consider so you can optimally farm. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Before I get into the video, if you guys find this video any way helpful, shape, or form, make sure to drop a like to show your appreciation, would be greatly appreciated. Drop a sub and hit the bell icon so you do not miss future videos like this, along with all kinds of videos pretty much. Newer player, veteran player, this channel probably has something that you may benefit from in the future, or already existing, who knows. But anyway, let's get into it. So, as the event does state, it is a double drop format for the whole event. Pretty much meaning you can take one of the Calyxes, mainly being Calyx Gold and Crimson, since those are the only 2 Calyxes, so you can get double drops on one of these or these. Starting it off with Golden, I highly recommend farming the Calyx trace materials instead of Golden, since we do get a bunch of accessible books and credits already from the game. And if you're someone that buys the Battle Pass, there's a lot more you can get from there as well. And if you are Trailblaze 70, you get even more from the XP conversion. But even as a newer player, it's slightly harder as a newer player, but still, having trace materials will be a lot more helpful in the long run. Obviously, you do need credits and you do need books to ascend, because you need to get them to the higher level, but this is a lot more accessible as opposed to trace materials, because trace materials are extremely cringe to farm. So the only time I actually recommend farming credits or books is if you already have either A, your main 2 teams done, and you do not really plan on having another team or really another unit you really care about, or you already have practically every character you do care about done and you have a multitude of units that are already just completed, and you are someone that's kind of waiting on a more distant future character, since with Sunday, we already know what you want to farm. With Ting Yun, we already know what you want to farm, but if you're looking into a more distant character and you may not have credits or books, you can easily get enough while we have the rest of 2.6, and when we have the 2.7 update, we'll get even more credits and books as the update goes on. Again, if you buy the Battle Pass, you get a bunch from there. If the event is going to probably provide a lot, the actual main quest will provide a good amount, which is why I generally recommend avoiding using the double drops on this. But again, if you're looking mainly to farm for someone in the very, very distant future, so 3.0 and beyond, then you could probably stockpile this, especially if you plan on getting multiple of them. But those are the only cases I really recommend doing the Calyx Golden. Actually, scratch that. Plus, one reason is for a newer player experience. If you are someone that already has your traces as much as they can go, so let's say you're a lower Trailblazer or Trailblazer level, if you already do have the trace amount you can get at that Ascension, and you can't go any higher since you don't have any books or credits, because books and credits for a lower Trailblazer player or a new player is going to be significantly harder, obviously, to at least come across. And so gaining some books from this in order to get your characters to the Ascension point and then wait for that is something you could also do. That's the only other case I would recommend doing Calyx Golden. But those are mainly just the 3 reasons that I would recommend doing these. Otherwise, I definitely recommend staying to Calyx Crimson. And for Calyx Crimson, so this one is a lot more straightforward as you pretty much just pick and choose for your units, but there are some things you want to definitely consider. So the first thing you do want to consider is your current units and your current main teams. So if you're someone that does not have the highest traces on your current 2 teams, let's say you are running one side Acheron, one side Firefly. Maybe your main DPS, especially because if they don't have higher traces, their damage is going to be significantly nerfed. Let's say you probably don't have the highest traces on your Firefly, then you would just go ahead and farm the ones that you would need to get her higher. Same thing would apply to the Harmony buffers, because certain Harmony buffers really want higher level traces. So something like Ruan Mei's skill, you definitely want to get that up very fast, same with her ultimate, so farming this would be great for her, ensuring your team actually does perform at what it could be. And same thing would apply to Acheron. If you have a lower ult level, obviously it's not going to hit that hard. Then you definitely want to get this up and get her ult up so it can hit what its potential is. Same thing would be applying to the debuffers on the team, since with the debuffers, the higher level that their debuff skill will be, or their debuff ultimate, then obviously the more damage you'll deal with the debuff being even higher, since the value will increase. Such as Jiaoqiu ultimate, the higher you level the ultimate, the more the ultimate vulnerability. Same with this talent, the actual general vulnerability. Halo Ultimate, the Expose having the 40% up to what it could be, since at level 10 it's 40% Deacon Tread, but obviously not at level 10, it's going to be even lower and lower. So that's kind of how you would focus on it. You mainly just want to focus it on your main teams. Generally, the order you do it will actually depend on you. If you're struggling on the damage part, then obviously you would focus on getting the DPS traces up first. So you'd go ahead and farm the one for your actual DPS. So again, Acheron, the Nihility. For Firefly, would be the Destruction. But if you're struggling with survivability, then you would focus on your sustain for that team. So let's say on the Firefly team, you are running Gallagher, and maybe a Gallagher doesn't have the greatest amount of traces leveled up. Then you would just go ahead and focus on abundance, get the actual stuff that he needs to let you perform that offensive healing and increase it by a good amount with the trace leveled up, because the higher it is, the more you can heal. More you can heal, the more longer you'll survive. Same thing applies with if you're, say, running Jeopard or Aventurine. If they are your main sustain and maybe the shield isn't strong enough, you'd go ahead and just go here and level the skill, because the more you level it, the stronger the shield will be because the scaling increases. And boom, now your sustain is able to provide the shield that you would want in order to keep you alive so you don't die as you would if you had a level 2-3 skill. Since obviously if you have a level 2 to 3 skill, you're going to be dying a lot more as opposed to having a level 9 to 10 skill. So again, basically just focusing on your current two teams. The side you want to focus on most is just seeing where you struggle most. Again, damage, you would focus on your DPS or your support, since the more trace level you have on your support is going to have their buff increase, and so your DPS would increase as well. But if you're struggling with survivability, then you'd obviously focus on abundance or preservation for your sustain. But if you barely have that done, it kind of just does depend on other units on your account or potential team ideas or easy substitutes. So let's say, once again, if you have a Firefly team, let's say you have Rappa on your account. Rappa is a very easy sub onto that team since she has the same team that you want for Firefly right now. So pretty much you would focus on getting Rappa's traces up, sub out Firefly for Rappa, and boom, your team's already done since your other character's traces would be leveled up. Or you could just go ahead and focus on a completely new team. You just get the DPS up, get the support up, get the sustain, if you probably already have it since sustains are pretty universal. After you do pretty much just have your main two teams leveled for the actual main traces, then it is pretty freeform on what you do. Since you don't struggle, you can clear the endgame contents. So it's pretty much just up to you if you want to have more of the versatility. Maybe you want to max the useless traces on some characters like the Harmony Support basic deck, which I don't personally recommend doing, since you can easily just spend that stamina on, hell, maybe getting more traces for others, or even just spending that on Relics instead. But this is a double trace guide, so that's where I'm going to be talking about. And if you're in a boat like me where I practically have everything I do need to do done, and it's mainly pre-farming for future characters, so what you want to do is focus on the actual upcoming characters if you are summoning for them. So the 4 characters we do know are Sunday, Tingyun, the Herda, and Aglia. For Sunday and Tingyun, I have a pre-farm guide, so you can go check everything you do need to know. But as Sunday is Harmony, you could just literally go over here and you would go ahead and just farm this, get it up for him, since you do need a good amount. And with the double traces, you can get this done more quicker than you would if there wasn't an event up. And then for Tingyun, you would just farm the Butt of Nihility. Same thing with Sunday, you can just get it up, get it out of the way. But when it comes to Herda or Aglia, I do not recommend pre-farming, since with Aglia, you literally can't because she's going to be Remembrance, and we don't have a Remembrance Calyx in the game right now. As for Herda, she is going to be Erudition, but the thing is there could be potentially a new one for a new area. So that is why I do not recommend farming anything for Herda until we do see which one she does use, since you could farm one or the other and then she could just end up not using it, and then you wasted all that. You could convert it, but you would have more value if you just held off and used that stamina elsewhere. So for Herda, I definitely would recommend waiting out to see if they potentially might add a new one, and then for Aglia, you literally just cannot farm her. And yep, that is the guide. That is how you want to go about it. As you see, it's pretty basic. It's a little more complicated for a newer player, but it's pretty much just seeing what you do need to get up, mainly focusing on your main 2 teams. Then it pretty much just becomes free farm if you want to farm for the upcoming characters, or if you just want to get more versatility on more teams. Anyway, hope you guys found the video helpful. Peace out.